Namaste, this is Acharya Venkat from ashwaunilfe group. We are at Ashwa Gurukul and we have Aravind here. Aravind, let's continue our discussion in the series of Mind, Body, Soul. You are talking about youngsters and their attention span.
Yes.
I just wanted to.
Yeah. So yesterday when we were discussing about the journey of mind, body, and soul, the first question that I had was through my recent observations. What I've seen is the attention span of not just youngsters, but across all the age groups. That I see has come down drastically. The concerning part is with the youngsters that I have, because when I take workshops, go to schools, I see that it is getting very difficult for them to sit still for 2 to 3 minutes. We do a small activity called soul time, my time. That is basically we ask them to sit quiet for 2 to 3 minutes, and I see that most of them are not able to do it. And the primary reason, which I think, is because of these Insta reels or whatever, because of the mobiles phones that they are using. I see most of them just scrolling. I'm not sure even if it is interesting, or if any video is of interest to them. I don't think that they'll see the more than 30 seconds. So I was wondering, why is it happening and how the mind works in this case? How is the mind affecting their personality? Is it the personality, because of this personality, that affecting the mind, or mind affecting the personality? So what's the reason? What is your take on this?
I let's go back in time before the mobile. So if you look at from the psychological point of view, our attention span was different, let's say 20 years back, before the mobiles and the internet and everything evolved. It was different from a psychological point of view. If you look at the attention deficit, at that point of time the attention deficits were different. Probably we were not getting attention from, let's say, parents, or we were not getting attention from friends or family members, so we would want to seek attention from them. So that's how a child, if you look at a child, he would do many things for attention. He would cry, or he would want their mother's or father's attention. So as we move to this technology and more and more innovations about Facebook, the Facebook started with likes. So we would want to post something and would want to get attention through likes. That's okay up to certain extent, but then if you're only seeking attention through that, and if you're only looking at how many people have liked, how many people have seen that post, so that becomes a disorder. So the disorders have changed over a period of time. So if you look at current scenario, the reels probably have come maybe around couple of years.
Yes.
Before that it was a long video, and we used to see any interesting topic, we used to make the videos of 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or half an hour, or 1 hour, or 2 hours. But of late, if you look at Instagram, or if you look at TikTok, it's just 1 minute or 2 minutes of entertainment, and we have 30 seconds of entertainment also. So what happens is that as we train the brain, and as we feed the brain or the mind, the output is the same. So definitely the young generation who is born in this era will have a lot of attention deficit, or they have lot of I'll give an example. You will understand probably how it works. Previously, when we were children, there used to be cartoons. Now we were willing to see cartoons.
Yes.
Now what happens in the cartoon is that the frames, you know, and the speed with which the cartoon moves is around 80 frames per second. Now that's why what happens is that the speed, brain and the mind gets into that speed mode. Now once we come back, for studying, our brain has to slow down, and that's where we our reading capability or the reading pace doesn't match with the frames of that cartoon. Now what is happening is that there are thousands of reels which are available, and every day, if it is of interest, then we would look into that content. Otherwise we will just scroll. Now what happens while scrolling is that there is pattern which gets created in your brain and mind. So more and more we are seeking for content. Now when we are looking at the content, we are using our fingers, we are using that mobile, and the modern addiction is the mobile addiction, and we are addicted to whether it is reels or Instagram or YouTube or Facebook. So what happens is that 30 seconds there is no content in that, but it is more of an entertainment. So we are getting used to the entertainment, and we the brain wants something new, the mind wants something new, so we keep on scrolling. Now if we open our mobiles and see that how much we all have to do this, probably how much is the time we are using the mobile, we will have the track of that. And average of, let's say, average person in India could be 4 or 5 hours. So 4 or 5 hours is going in content consumption, which is not good for the mind and the brain. So especially youngsters, they are looking at the reels, and the brain gets used to those reels, and that's how the attention span is getting disturbed. So when you are asking them to go for a soul time, or when you are asking them to go where their brain calms down, and when we are making them sit, let's say 1 minute or 2 minutes, we can know what is their attention span. Now how do you increase this attention span? How we have to see that if we don't make their attention increase their attention span, their intelligence will come down, because in 1 minute or 2 minutes you cannot learn anything. So students are facing this issue because we need to make them realize that we need to increase that attention span. Now how do we increase that attention span is that the brain needs to calm down, the mind needs to calm down. Otherwise, with that speed and with that content, with that scrolling, they are getting used to it, and after some time what happens is that it becomes an autopilot. You just keep on scrolling.
I was about to ask the next question. So, what is addiction? How does addiction happen? Because most of the time, I don't think people realize that they're addicted to it.
Yes.
So, how to understand that, I am addicted to this? How to come out of it?
Okay, let's understand the mind model. So I will very briefly touch upon it, because the mind model itself is a deeper subject. Probably we should make another.
Because the reason why this is bothering me is I don't think people realize that they're addicted.
Yeah. Now, even see what is addiction? We are doing something repeatedly. If it is helping us or it is not helping us, there are two things. Let's say there is a limit for doing anything. Beyond that, it becomes an addiction where that particular thing, without that, we would not be able to live without that, or we become anxious without that. So let's take mobile addiction. We'll not go into smoking and alcohol and drugs and all. That's a separate discussion. We would do it because that has a different kind of an addiction. Now the topic is about, the discussion is about attention span. So how do we see that the youngsters improve their attention span? See, what happens in the mind is that it wants entertainment. So we would go, ideally, if all of us has given an opportunity, we'd go and do some kind of entertainment activity. Or so what is the entertainment activity for the younger generation? you know Sports also has become very limited in India. We are not a sporting culture yet. We are evolving in that, so that the kids are getting involved in the sports, but at the same time there is a pattern that they are at the same time doing multiple activities. Rather, if one person is, or the children are playing one sport over a period of time, they will develop and they will grow. So that helps. But more majority, they don't have any playground. Majority don't have anything to do. They have only studies and subjects. So what will they do? They'll go back and do the mobiles. So one of the thing what we can do is that check how much time you are on the mobile, and maybe parents have to make a rule saying that you do for half an hour, not more than that, and there is a checkpoint. you know so the red flag is, if you are using more than 1 hour, is a red flag. So, and the green flag is that whatever rule they have made, after discussing with the kid that okay, you use for half an hour or 45 minutes, you have a green flag, and then there is a reward for that. Because the brain would or the mind would look for the reward. Now, how do we know that we are addicted? That's one thing that you need to see how much time we are using. And if it is for
Is there
learning,
a time measure wherein say if you're watching your mobile daily for 3 hours, is that a marker where you can say you're slowly getting addicted or you're addicted? So if the person is watching more than 4 hours, so easy addicted. Now, if he's watching for 3 hours, easy on the border of addiction. So how can we mark that? Whether he's addicted or he's in the process of getting addicted.
see, ideally, given an opportunity, if at all we are learning something, and if it is a learning video, that's fine. But if you are doing time pass, or if you are doing scrolling and just for the sake of entertainment, you know, the recommendation is that you don't at all use your mobile. But there is a trend, and so we have to use the mobile. The best thing is to use it for 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes. Now, see, this 1 minute and 2 minute reels, for the sake of saying it, for the sake of telling, don't, it doesn't work or it will not work. I think those who are looking at that will not understand. Eventually they go back and try to understand. They will not understand. They will not try to understand, because that's what the brain and the mind is seeking for. So otherwise they will start comparing that they have mobile, why are you not allowing us to do it? So ideally give time 20 to 15-20 minutes and see what they are doing with that. If it is a content learning or if it is something which you are learning, excellent, no problem at all. So there is, how do we fix time? Maybe we do a survey and say that okay, this is the time, or we all come to a standard saying that okay, 30 minutes is okay for looking at this. Beyond that, it is kind of getting into an addiction mode. But what we have to realize is that there is a lot of good content. So we need to understand and make the children aware that what content we need to see, what will help them. So it should be under the parental guidance. And definitely we need to talk to students and make them aware of it. So it's all about awareness. And we need to see that once they come back from home, how much time we want them to use it. So this is very subjective. These days the children are playing some games, video games, so 3 or 4 people connect through the internet and then they play. So what is happening is that has become a play for them. Previously we used to have playgrounds and they used to go and play in the playgrounds, be it any game. Now they are playing in the kind of video games. So that too is also a very disturbing thing, because if you are playing for 1 hour or 2 hours, there is no physical exertion. There is only eye strain, and there is only your brain and mind is focused, and your hands, that too your 2 fingers you are using. Now what happens is that the other parts are not getting utilized. So definitely there will be a challenge in the attention span there also. Addiction thing, I think more than half an hour or 20 minutes. If it is a learning, because everything has become online, learning has become online. So the visual factor has now coming up in a is at the top. Now we have other two, kinesthetic and audio, or how we listen. So the content has also become visual. So we need a system which helps the youngster saying that okay, this is the limit, and then shouldn't cross that. So it's very subjective again.
So again, sticking on to the mind topic, the other question that I had was when you say that mind, body, and soul journey, what impact that does a mind have on these three? Because when usually talk, we talk about soul journey. Now, what does the mind and body has to do with it? And what say roughly what percent that the mind contribute to in these three? When I say my journey is complete,